In this lecture, we will talk about the shadow file. The implementation of shadow password mechanism provides secure password for local users. With this mechanism in place, not only user passwords are encrypted and stored in etc shadow file, but password expiration and other limits can also be applied for each user. We can cat the etc shadow file and see what it has. So let me bring up the terminal and we can look at this file through the terminal. So let's do a cat etc shadow file. As you can see, it has a lot of information. We will just pick one. So this is one line pertaining information about a particular user. There are a total of 9 fields and we will cover each field very shortly. These limits and other settings are defined in the etc-login.defs file and are enforced on user accounts. So let's run this command through the terminal. Grep -uppercase EV. That's the caret sign. # pipet. What this is doing is it won't display anything on the screen with any comments in the file or any empty lines in the file. And the file we're searching on is etc-login.defs. So this is what this file looks like without the empty lines and without the comments. And this is where you will find all the settings related to the account. The shadow file is only readable by the root user for security purposes. That's why I logged in as root, and that's how I looked at this file. You can also just cat the login.defs file and see what it looks like. It will be better if you run it with the grep option like I did. If shadow password mechanism is active, a user existence is first checked in the etc passwd and then in etc shadow file for authentication. We can also cat the etc shadow file and look at a particular user. So let me bring up the terminal and let's look at that file, and let's grep for just one user called jdoe. So grep jdoe in etc shadow file. As you can see, this is the information that you will find in here. If you set a password, then the password will show up in here. So let's break it down. Each field, there are a total of 9 fields. So the first field is the username. In this case is jdoe, or whatever user ID that you're looking at, it will show you the username on that line in this file. Next is, it will either have an encrypted password, which will look like this, or if you see an exclamation sign at the beginning of line, it means the account is locked. The third line is blank in our case, but it can have last CHG days, date when password was last modified. And if it's blank, that means the password aging is not applied. So if you see a 0, then it means change password at login. Next is 4, which is showing 0. It stands for min day. That's minimum number of days before password can be changed. And the 5th field shows 99999. It stands for max days, max number of days of password validity. And the 6th field is showing 7 days. That's the warning days. Also stands for warn days. That's number of days a user gets warning to change the password. 7th field is blank in our case. It stands for inactive days. That shows the max number of days allowed of user inactivity. Blank or null means feature is disabled. And the 8th field is also blank, but is used for disabled days. Number of days before user account expires. And the 9th field is again blank, but it's reserved for future use, so we're not going to be doing anything with that field currently. This covers the shadow file. I hope you learned something useful in this lecture as well, and I'll see you in the next one.